see if we can look for them.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Chicken Box. This is the first show of the year, and we're excited to have you join us today. I hope your new year is starting off well and that you're following some of your resolutions. For today, we'll be discussing Black People versus Archives, and we have some special guests joining us today. So if this is your first time joining us, I'm Courtney Alexander, and I'm one of your co-hosts. Impeccable and Dr. Draper unfortunately won't be able to join us today, but don't worry, you will see them again in the future. So without further ado, join me in welcoming the public access archivist for AFRO Charities Incorporated, Deyane Moses.
Hi everybody. Hi Courtney, thanks for having me. Really excited to be here.
Most definitely. Excited to have you here too. How are you doing today, and how is your new year going so far?
It's going great. You know, the new year honestly came in hot for me. I'm really busy. AFRO Charities is really busy, and I'm just really excited. What about you?
Mine was great. I went downtown Chicago. The weather wasn't terrible. Heard the fireworks, so it wasn't terrible. How was yours?
Yeah. I spent time with my family mostly. My brother. And just kind of chilled and kicked it at home, really just rested and gearing up for the new year because it's going to be a very busy new year, especially coming out of COVID. It seems like everything is just happening all at once. Everybody's trying to get back acclimated to the real world. So I'm really excited for what's going to happen in the new year.
Most definitely. Today we also have another guest joining us. Deyane, would you like to introduce our other guests?
Yeah, our other guest today is going to be Sharena A. Christmas. She's the director of Muse 360 as well as New Generation Scholars. And we're going to tell you more about them, but they are a local organization here in Baltimore, and they're intergenerational. They also work with a lot of youth scholars, talking about the African diaspora and then Black history. So we're partnering with them with this year, and I'm really excited to tell you about it. And Sharena is going to tell you all about the amazing youth and the work that they're doing this year and have been doing for years, by the way, here in the city.
Perfect. And would you like me to introduce you, or would you like to do the honor?
Okay, I can do myself. Everybody, my name is Deyane Moses. I'm a Baltimore transplant. I've been here for 5 years now, and I heard that after I've been here for 5 years, I can say I'm from Baltimore, but I love Baltimore very, very much. They have treated me like family since I've got here, and really harnessed me as an artist and in my future, my career here. So I'm blessed to be here in Baltimore. That being said, I'm a veteran. I'm an artist, activist, educator, and archivist here in Baltimore. I attended MICA, which is the Maryland Institute College of Art. I got my BFA in photography in 2019, and my MFA in curatorial practice in 2021. I created a small archive that talks about the college's Black history. I also have interests, like I said, in photography, Black history, community archives, organizing, and design. And right now, I'm the current public access archivist here at AFRO Charities. And what that means is I assist you, the community, as well as our internal staff with navigating 130 years worth of history that the AFRO newspapers have produced. And it's just a wealth of information, in my opinion, one of the richest archives of Black history out there, period.
We love to see it.
Absolutely.
And hi, Sharena. How are you?
Oh, I'm on the show. Okay, great. Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't even... Hello, I'm great. How are you guys?
Doing great. You want to tell us a little about yourself? I would love to do the honors, but I'll let you tell us all about you and about Muse 360 and about the program.
Yes. So I'm Sharena Ashanti Christmas. I am first and foremost a mother. I'm also the founder of Muse 360, which is a radical youth organization that really develops young people with their creative talents and also really encourages them to pursue knowledge of self. We offer 3 programs. So I started this organization back in 2004, but I first had a ballet school, Rainfall Dance Studio. And from that, me having grown up in Dance State of Harlem and doing ballet, I decided that why not just stick to, other things? Why not just do other things and, start to kind of build upon the discipline of dance? So that's how New Generation Scholars came about, which is became a study abroad program that focuses on the African diaspora. And I founded that in 2007. And then we also have Spark of Genius, which is a creative entrepreneurship project, which was derived from New Generation Scholars to help us to start to fund our study abroad trips. Because an organization like ours, which is very radical and very youth-centered and really unapologetic, doesn't always get the resources and funding we need. So we decided to use entrepreneurship to build that livelihood. So that's a little bit about me. And, you know, we're partnering this year. It's our 15th year, 15th cohort for New Generation Scholars. And we are partnering with the AFRO Charities. And Deyane is an amazing, I met Deyane actually at MICA.
Yeah.
Just disrupting and doing all the things.
I don't want to get into all that, but yeah.
Yeah, but I just love that. I think that, you know, I think that it's been a really amazing opportunity to partner with Afro Charities, having Deyane as a part of it. Yeah. And because that's what, you know, she does. She's the black, what do they call it? Blackivist? That's what
Blackivist. It's
Blackivist.
merging Black and Archivist together.
Love it.
Yes.
And you know, and also, you know, shout out to Savannah Wood and also Diamond Fisher, the other comrades at Afro Charities. But yeah, we are actually partnering and doing some amazing things. So I don't know if that's where you want me to stop and then we get into other things, but that's a little bit about me and my work.
Yeah.
I
was going to say, thank you so much for mentioning Savannah. I'm sorry, Savannah. Sorry, Diamond. I also want to mention Megan McShay. She's an archivist, also who assists with the projects at Afro Charities. But yes, I'll let Courtney take us in.
Sure thing. And before we jump into the discussion of Black people versus archives, I want to highlight that the Afro is Maryland's oldest Black business, and we have 130 years of history, and we will continue to have a role in informing and educating the Black community. And if you aren't in the Baltimore area, and if you don't know what a chicken box is, that is 4 wings and fries. And Kevin said that it has salt and pepper on it, and you can enjoy it with ketchup or hot sauce.
And if you're from the DMV, though, or you're from DC, some of that mumbo sauce is good on there, too. I ain't gonna lie.
In Chicago, we have mild sauce, so I'm like, mumbo sauce.
Oh, yeah. You can buy mumbo sauce in the store now. I think they sell it nationally.
It's good.
I think so. It's really good.
And I'm also holding it down for Gen Z. What generations are you all representing?
Me? Generation. Mm-hmm.
That is hilarious.
I gotta think about it. Am I
to guess?
Go ahead. What came before a millennial? X?
Is it Xennial?
Yeah, I don't know. They consider I'm 86, so they think I'm a millennial, but I kind of consider myself borderline millennial and whatever comes before that.
I'm before millennials. Let's put it like that. I'm definitely the oldest, yeah. But I'm representing, I'm an elder millennial.
Elder millennial. Okay, I'll take that.
The kids think I'm elder anyway.
I'll definitely take that. I'm elder millennial. Yes, yeah. I'll take that. I wonder where everybody, whoever's tuning in, everybody out there in the social media world, drop your location in the chat. I want to know where y'all at, or y'all tuning in at. I'm in Baltimore. Where you at, Courtney, again?
I'm Chicago.
Trina, where you at right now?
I'm calling in from New York.
Okay, New York. Everybody, okay. We're all in different zones. Okay. Well, we're in the same one, but yeah.
So we can jump right into the discussion. Well, Deyane, can you start off by telling us more about your role with Afro Charities and what ultimately what does Afro Charities do?
Okay. I'll start talking about Afro Charities first. Afro Charities is 60 years old this year. They're founded 60 years ago, and they are the charitable organization, sister organization to the Baltimore African American newspaper, Afro News. We provide public programs within the city, but also we've started gearing towards the preservation of the archives. So before I get into the preservation part, before Afro Charities was founded 60 years ago, Afro newspaper was running charitable programs, specifically like Mrs. Santa and the Clean Block program. And those programs, Mrs. Santa sounds like what it is. It was a charitable program that enlisted the city to participate and solicit them for what they needed for the Christmas, whether it's mostly for a child or could be a family in need. And the AFRO would provide that and also provide general gifts for the community. And that's been going on way long before AFRO Charities started. And we recently just participated and had a Miss Santa this year at Nomu Nomu. And it was beautiful. We partied it up. Go on AFRO Charities on IG and look it up. I'm telling you, we had a ball. We had what do you call it? We had a hot chocolate. There were bikes given away. Omegas gave. It was like over 12 bikes given away. We had an overflow worth of toys. We had maybe just a few toys left over, so everybody got a toy, and some people even got more than one. I mean, it was an amazing experience. We had a DJ. It was great. We had a photo booth. It was amazing. So that's after we've reinvented and kind of revised that program this year, and we're looking forward to in the future also working on Clean Block, which charted to my head and not my heart if I get this wrong, but it was one of the first ecological endeavors that have happened within the city. And what they asked for is Frances Murphy, she's a descendant of one of the founders of the AFRO, Frances L. Murphy, but she started Clean Block. And what she was doing was she was a teacher and educator, but she was getting together with different students and educators in the city to garner students to clean up their neighborhoods. And then the most beautiful neighborhood would get a party. And so that went on for quite some, over like 50 years. And so wait, longer than that. So over like 70 years, 80 years. And so it was an amazing program. It was one of the first community organizing efforts that happened in the country. And that happened right here in Baltimore and right here at the AFRO. So those are some of the programs that we're doing. And like we stated earlier, the youth fellowship program, which are some of the new initiatives that our director, Savannah Wood, has started working on, which is one, the youth programs, so we're talking more about Sharena, but also the preservation of the archives. And so right now there's a lot of grant funding going towards the preservation of the AFRO's archives. Like I said, 130 years worth of history, over 3 million photographs. That's just photographs. We're talking correspondence, internal things, reporter notebooks, books that are written, none of that. And so we are working on digitizing this collection to make it more accessible to you, the public. People want to and need to use this information, need to have it. Black history is being exposed more and more and more, and how we have contributed so generously to the culture, to moving forward the nation. So I'm really excited to be a part of that. So we're working on digitization efforts. We're partnering right now with the Maryland State Archives. Shout out to the Maryland State Archives. They've been holding it down for real. They given us a space temporarily while we're bringing the Upton Mansion, which you can talk about later too, next year. But they're giving us temporary housing and letting us use their facilities to digitize these materials. So every week we are digitizing materials. I would say we get through maybe about 300 photographs every week. And then not to mention some of the other materials that people have reached out to us about. So yeah, my job is to help with research initiatives and different things like that. And I'm totally happy to show you too. If we have a few minutes, I can show you real quick.
Most definitely.
Presentation. Taryn, do you mind pulling it up for me real quick? I don't want to take up too much time, but I just want to show y'all a little something. Just to talk to you a little bit about the archives and how you can access them. The archives, if you're in the Baltimore area or if you know somebody in Baltimore who has a library card, the archives are accessible through Enoch Pratt's free database system. Taryn will drop that link in the chat. Taryn, you can go over just a little bit. These are the founders of the AFRO newspaper. Go back just one more. I just want to show their face because I got to give them a shout out. That's John and Martha Murphy, husband and wife. He was the founder of the paper. We can talk about the history later, or you can look it up. Skip a little bit forward, Taryn, for me, please. One more. Right there. So the uses of the AFRO archives right now for genealogy, books, advertisements, films, TV broadcasts, you name it, presentations, dissertations, everything. And we are happy to help you with any of those research needs. You can go over one more, Taryn. You can access the archives for free on Enoch Pratt Library. I just want to show you real quick, Taryn. You can press play. Yeah, perfect. That's just one row. There are 4 of them. That's just one aisle that you'll see of what the archives look like that we have at the MSA facility. So they have a huge warehouse. So seriously, we could not house these materials. It was housed at Morgan before, so also shout out to Morgan for assisting the AFRO for years and housing the archives. But we have now moved them here to this facility. So these are the archives here. We have boxes, bound books, as well as filing cabinets. Mostly you'll see when I open up things when I'm there are these folders. Hit over, Taryn, please. And you can press play on any one of these videos. That the last one to the right is a pretty good one too. So the archives right now, like I said, we're digitizing these efforts. We're working to digitize this material on a weekly basis. People are using these for all different types of things. It won't play now, but that's okay. We can go over. I don't want to take up any more time. I got one more thing I want to show, kind of like how things work. So the archives, you can access them, like I said, on the Enoch Pratt library, and it's free. When you get this information, you can access it and you can utilize it as you like for personal resources, but you do not want to use this material for, if you want to reproduce this in a public facing form, please make sure you reach out to us. I will tell you a little testimonial real quick. People have reached out to us about fires, and we were able to help them find family members throughout that. So just know that Archives, the AFRO covered the entire world. I'm not even going to say the United States, the entire world, wars, everything. So don't overlook the AFRO's archive or your own archives and community archives as well. Taryn, you go over just a little bit more. One more, please. I just want to tell everybody about archives etiquette. If you are ever in the archives, remember pencils only, and make sure that you don't bring any personal items and put things back, as you found them. One more, Taryn. And Taryn, we can close it out. We'll share the links. Taryn will share the links for the morgue, and as well as for the Enoch Pratt database. And I can definitely assist more with that. And if we have time, I can also show you. I just didn't want to take too much time. I want Sharina to share about what she's working on too.
That is an amazing resource to have. And I hope that everyone takes advantage of that.
Yeah, I do too. It's a free resource that you can use. All you need is a library card. I almost forgot that. You need to have a Enoch Pratt library card. So either you know somebody in Baltimore or you have your own. And one more thing about the physical archive. That's the most key. Physical archive is not open to the public right now. Only AFRO charity staff can access it. So you need to email me at archives@afro.org if you would like to utilize the materials. There is a link that Taryn has put in the chat. And you can search the morgue folders. It's the one that says afroarchives.libraryhost. You can use that to search the morgue for the folders and then send them to me to look for you. Oh, one more thing. There is a research fee, $30 an hour with a minimum of 2 hours. I hope everybody got that. Sorry about that.
And I want to turn it over to Sharina. Yes. Can you tell us more about Muse 360 and what is your role?
Yeah, so I everything. I founded it. I'm the mama of Muse 360. Mm-hmm. And as I mentioned earlier, I started it in 2004. My role specifically with New Generation Scholars, which is the third, actually it's the second program that I founded in 2007, is really just to kind of work with my other comrades. I want to give a shout out to Belfina Yuan, who's kind of my co-pilot, who helps me now to direct the program. But my role there is to really just make sure that the curriculum is set and based on helping the young people pursue knowledge of self. And really that's what Muse 360 does, but we use creative ways to do that. We use, almost a space of utopia, imagination, to really get young people to not only look at history, but to also think about where they're going. And to utilize some of those two tenets to kind of create solutions for the present. I think it's really important, as I was listening to Deyane and just how fascinated I was with your work when I met you, but just thinking about the word archive is not something that, similar to how like we think about just any term, right? We're like, oh, that's a foreign thing for us, but it's for Black folks, it's just not foreign. If you think about like, well, for me in my generation, the way we grew up, we ain't had no cell phones, right? You couldn't flip. You're taking pictures,
Mm-hmm.
You're going to the store, you're getting in develop, you're putting in. My father literally goes online and prints. And I'm like, Dad, you can't do this. But he goes on Facebook. And if he knows you, he's going to save the picture and print it. And I'm like, how did you get this picture? Because I didn't give it to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
A little creepy, but he's almost 70, so bless his heart. He need the pictures one way or the other, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
But growing up, I always looked at pictures. I always, my grandmother always wrote me notes and things like that,
Right.
right? So what's really interesting about working in the way that we work at Muse 360 is that we're always evolving and we're always changing and we're always thinking about what's really important for us to continue to kind of push ourselves to the next level. So the theme of the year, and really the theme as we move forward, is thinking about self-emancipation, right? Thinking
Mm-hmm.
about how we take and how we maintain. And when I say take, it's like, how do we take back some of these practices that have been taken from us? So even the personal archiving, which is something that I do with my own work, because I'm an artist as well. I'm an assemblage artist and I do film. I also dance, right? But
Mm-hmm.
how am I taking the personal history and my personal archives to get to know who I am? So now that we've actually been able to partner with our AFRO charities, it's been a really great kind of a conduit or catalyst for us to start to have this conversation with young people, to start to
Mm-hmm.
say, to start, encouraging them to have the conversations with their parents, have conversations with the people around you. Find out more about your own personal story, even though you might be from a different generation or a millennial generation or what have you. Really start to have that conversation. So this year, our work is really centered around, like I said, self-emancipation, and we're using the themes specifically in New Generation Scholars to think about migration and also archiving. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so, migration is something that for young people has become very digital. So, if you think about, migration for our generation or for generations prior to us, you're moving to find a better job. You're moving to go to college, right? For me, I came to Baltimore because I went to Morgan. Shout out to Morgan. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's my migration story to Baltimore, right? But then there's another migration story now for young people where they need to think about the places that technology takes them. And so, what's really beautiful about having access to the Afro Archives, we're actually going to be going to the Afro Archives in a couple of weeks. And so the young people will be able to see how people were able to maintain stories of their family, how people were able to go to use the Afro, not just as a place, as a newspaper resource or information resource, but I think, I remember we used to take the young people to the Afro Archives and New Generation Scholars before it was, out, before it left the city. And I remember seeing green books. I remember seeing,
Mm-hmm.
posters. I remember seeing like just things that I had no idea that were just right in our, own backyard being in Baltimore. So like I said, this year we're really focusing on that. And then I also want to highlight some of our teachers. We have Dr. Jessica Johnson,
Yes.
who is an amazing author, scholar, also is at Johns Hopkins teaching African diasporic work and teaches African diasporic work with us. But this year she's working on maroonage, right? And so the idea of what it means for us to, again, self-emancipate, and so we're looking at that. And then in maroonage, there is migration because you're kind of migrating to a space where you can live freely. So I get
Mm-hmm.
excited, so I'm probably rambling. But saying all of this to say, what's really key and important about our work is the intergenerational piece of it,
Mm-hmm.
right? So when we were younger, when I was younger, I did have an opportunity to do rites of passage, but to dive into this work at a high critical level, not just with archiving, but also with creation, with creativity, right? So the young people are also learning photography and multimedia through Kyle Pompey, so they
Mm-hmm.
can develop new narratives for themselves, right? This year, we're also going to be working with a digital artist to do some animation around the 9-point program that a lot of our young people have started to create for the city of Baltimore. So we're looking at history, we're looking at some of the rules, right? And we're saying, how can we animate this? How can we bring this to life, whether it's through a zine or whether it's through that, right? So we're taking all of these themes and we're creating solutions that we can actually, or even just markers or a manifesto that we can live by, values that we can come back to. So really, like I said, our work is less centered on like how people think about, oh, the arts is exciting, and it is.
Mm-hmm.
For Black people, it can't just be that, right? It has to also mean something. It also, it has to also get us to the next space. So we're using all of those themes to teach young people about themselves and where they're going.
Mm-hmm.
And then lastly, what I'll say is that I'm really excited. I think you said you're from Chicago. I know you said something about being in Chicago, but we're actually taking the young people to Chicago. We're taking the young people to, Yeah, Deyane, I don't know if we talked about this. Did we get a chance to talk about this? But yeah, so we're going to Chicago April 1st to the 5th. Most of the travel that we do in New Generation is abroad. But I have been really thinking about our own history here in America and like some of the, the last standing Black cities or some of the histories in other cities. So we've gone to New Orleans. We've gone to Charleston. That's where we shot. My film was in Charleston, down in the Gull Islands. But we're going to Chicago, and I love Chicago. So we're going to Savannah has set us up on some really cool things. With some of the work that the Astor Gates does. I'm going to also take the young people, and Deyane will be there. We take the young people.
I'm like,
to the Savo Museum with Danny Dunson, who is an amazing cultural worker in art, and also just really supports a lot of artists as well. But just the history of Chicago is really, really poignant, and we want to dive into that. So, again, like, what are the migration stories? With Chicago, because every time I go to Chicago, I'm like, this is up north, but it is southern in a lot of ways, right?
A lot of people from the South, during the Great Migration moved up there. A lot of my family live there, and the archives we have a lot of things in the archives about the history of Chicago. So I'll be sure to pull out that material.
Yeah. So that's, so I'm just this work. So I think, like I said, it's been 18 years with this. Well, almost, it's going to be 19 years in July of 2023, which is kind of crazy, but I really created this organization because it's kind of who I am. It's how I was raised. The way my mother's an activist. And it's also my desire to see us be better. It's our desire to see us come together communally and to really just set fire on our own path, Right. So I'm excited about all the things we're going to explore, and I'm excited to see what comes out of it. And we culminate the program on May 20th. We'll have an exhibition, which we're going to tap into Deyane's curatorial skills. She helped the young people. She actually helped the young people with their latest exhibition we had at Nomo Nomo in December. Each young person presented their own personal archive, and it was very touching. It was I've never done anything like this at 13 or 14, right? Like, these young people brought together themes of migration, themes of being in Baltimore, themes of love. It was amazing. It was pretty dope. So anyway, so that's kind of the overall the overall kind of content of what we do at Muse and specifically with New Generation. So
that's a very, very special place. I mean, just being the day with you all on the weekend was amazing.
Yeah,
conversation that you were all having.
Yeah, I'm really honored to just be in community with the folks that I'm in community with. So yeah, it's fun and hard at the same time.
Tell me, I know organizing, keep those together.
And Sharina, you briefly mentioned how the process is evolving over time, like how before you mentioned it was more physical photographs, and then now we're in this digital age. What I'm curious about the actual process, what are some ways that the archives are preserved, and can one of you walk us through the actual process of what you do and the significance of I guess storing the archives?
Yeah, can I start, Trina?
No, yeah, please, because that's
what? Oh yeah.
I'm having to do the work, and Deyane is going to help them maintain it.
Yeah. So I guess where do you start? I mean, first, everybody has. I want everybody to know who out there listening today, tomorrow, whatever. You have an archive, all this stuff I got right here. All this we have an archive, and those things are important. The pictures we're taking, the things, emails we have, those are all important. So don't think that you don't have, or the things that your family members have are not important. So start there. So first, you have an archive. Realize that you got one. Second, then you want to kind of take an inventory of these items that you have, and so that's where we start. We take an inventory of these items, and then from there, how are they? What are the status of the condition of it? Are they fragile? How many of these items are? Then you want to start looking at the dates and years. You want to start to see if there's already an organization already set to these materials. When you found it, was there already some type of arrangement? And then from there, you can kind of group things into genres or catalogs, how you see fit. If it's your own archive, you can do whatever you want. And then you want to kind of start, maybe make a spreadsheet and, catalog and write all these items down, the years, the details. That's what we call the metadata. And that's the stuff that, you're looking up when you're searching for things. When you're like, oh, when you go to that AFRO morgue that we were talking about, and you're looking for keywords, you want to type in a cat, then you can see, where listed cats are. And, this is it's a simple search. So you want to start using and putting in metadata. And then from there, once you start putting in, like I said, the metadata, you want to figure out like how you want to preserve these items, what you want to do. Now, the thing about the preservation of items is depending on what it is, you got to think about materials, all types of things that comes with conservation and preservation. And so like paper items, we have, there are like, what is the word I'm looking for? Hold on, it's coming to me. Oh my gosh, I know the word. It's going to come to me, but there are, we put things in between so that they are protected. And it's the whole core of the thing. I'll come up with it later, but we want to make sure that the things are in protective materials. And you can get those items are very expensive. And so some of the preservation things that you can do now while you're at home is keeping them in a nice, dry, cool area, keeping them in boxes that do not have plastic associated with them. And there are you can find those materials on like Hollinger. Those are some of the things that like we do here in the archives. So we have boxes, and we also are putting this information. We're also more taking the information and cataloging it and putting in, like I said, the metadata. And then we're also making sure they are stored accurately. That's in folders, whether in Mylar sleeves, different things like that. And so the acid-free. Why is that so hard to remember? Acid-free. You make sure things are in acid-free containers. And then lastly, what we're doing in the archives, once we've organized it and we got everything how we want it to do, now we're scanning it. And that was the video we were trying to show you earlier. So we're scanning these items, and then we're taking that metadata, where really the AI is, the computer is taking that data that you see that's written, was not even written, it can be visual. The AI now, they have Google AI. AI is artificial intelligence that can, when the computer looks at it, it's going to read the letters in the background, whatever's in the background, and it also can do image recognition. So sometimes we come back to things that say like forehead and lips and glasses and things like that. But it's also inclusive because it also put on there that the lady had a Jerry curl, not just curls. It wrote Jerry curl. And I was like, amazing. So technology, as you were saying early, Courtney and Sharina as well, is really evolving, and it's assisting us in the archive tremendously. But you really want to make sure that you have the items organized, get your metadata together, make sure they're in acid-free containers and things like that, and then figure out how you want to kind of store them. It's kind of like the process. That's very simplified, but how we're doing it now.
That's amazing. Especially, I remember when we came in person and you were like on the computer, I was like blown away that we can do that. Like, that is amazing.
Yeah, I could share my, let me see if I can pull that real quick. Let me share my screen. What's it called? Airtable. We have so right now we're using Airtable. So I'm gonna show you the little behind the scenes. Don't kill me, Savannah. We can do this, right? But yeah, so here's I'm gonna share, oops, I don't have it pulled out. Let me pull it out so that you don't see us talking. Here we go. Oops, sorry. And so you can see, can you see it? This page? Please let me know. Can y'all see anything? I can't hear you.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Okay. So this is kind of, I'm just going to type in, what was his name? Actually, I could just pull it over right here. Anderson. Yesterday, we've been working on Marian Anderson's collection, or her folders, should we say collection? It's folders. But these are all the pictures that we've started scanning. And so we haven't finished doing all the data yet. But once we put the things in, once we have things scanned in and we put the AI widget in there, it will be able to read all this information here, and it will be in the metadata. So as the archives are getting up and running, and this project is more underway, when people start to look for images and names of people, it might be filed under Mary Anderson, but maybe she's in a photograph next to someone else. And then you'll have that information. So you'll be able to find a lot more people moving forward in the archives. And I'm really excited about that. Are you all still there?
Hello? Yes, we are.
Okay, sorry. Everybody was gone. I was like, oh my gosh, please don't close out. Okay, here I am. I'm coming back.
But wow, that is so cool.
So yeah, so we'll be showing the scholars that as well. But yeah, the technology is amazing. What's happening right now. And yeah, and we're using it. And gotta give a big shout out to Megan. She is the brains behind the different technological advances that we're moving into. And we're also partnering with other Blackivists, Black archivists, and we are growing and we are out there, y'all, that are helping us and assisting us with this project.
Yeah, I wanted to also say, I think that what's really what has been really good is that the young people get an opportunity to start to think about how the archives, or how personal archives, or how having access to this information can help to kind of expand their work.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think for myself personally, when I was thinking about the work that I wanted to do, of course, choreographing was one thing. I love a song, I choreograph, I want to say something, right? But really, when I started to dive into my own personal archives, one of the archives that I started to really get into was, and it was very hard to get access to, but it was the archive of Pearl Primus, Dr. Pearl Primus.
Mm.
Catherine Dunham's archive was, or just having access to her information was a little easier. But Dr. Pearl Primus, God rest both of their souls, I had to really like travel. I had to go to, actually in New York, they have at Lincoln Center, they have the, what is it, the New York City Public Library of Performing Arts. And
Yeah.
you can look at any piece of archive VHS you want. I don't know if they still have it, because it was back in the day. But I was able to see interviews, but she didn't publish a lot of things. So it was like I had to go there where they kept the archives. And I think that one of the beautiful things about what Afro Archives is going to do, once they're able to have their facility, is that they'll be easy. It'll be housed in a Black-owned, Black-run space. You know,
Yeah.
a lot of the archives are, the New York City Public Library, as great as it is, it's not a Black institution. Even the Schomburg, which I love, shout out to the Schomburg, because that's the first place I ever had experience with archives. So one of the first projects of New Generation Scholars was we didn't have enough money to travel outside, the country yet. So we used to go to the Schomburg every summer. And the young people had to choose a topic or a person, and they had to, and of course, in order to research that person, it wasn't just a book, but at the Schomburg, you would put the white gloves on and you would pull out the pictures. And again, I think for me, and as a dancer, as a person very interested in anthropology and the ethos of Black folks and how we move, archives were a big part of just how I became a more profound artist and thinker. So I think that it's just a really important tool that we should start to. I would love for this to see it implemented in schools, but we know that might be a little far fetched. But because of the level. But I think definitely with the work that we're doing, I think that that's something that I'm going to make sure that we continue to hone in on for the young people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've always I would just see the archives as seriously as a conversation with the past, an ongoing conversation, and it's still happening. Say like if you don't know where you come from, you don't know where you're going. And it's also it shows us exactly why things are the way they are right now.
Yeah,
and so we need the archives. And I remember I was growing up, I didn't know anything about the archives. I was like, why is this stuff like this?
Yeah,
and I always found it was some kind of historical reference, but I never knew how to go. I just trusted anything anybody told me. And so now being able to go into the archives and research and read this information for myself, and it's in an institution that's Black, I feel more comfortable trusting and knowing the information that things haven't been redacted and X, Y, and Z, And so that's why, I think the archives in Afro is so important. And also, like you said, Sharina, our facility, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for that. I can't wait.
It's going to be amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, if you're just tuning in with us, this is Black People versus Archives. I'm joined here by Deyane and Sharina. I want to say thank you for joining us today, and be sure to go to afro.com and get a subscription for the new year. New year, new beginnings. And continue to also support us by following us on social media, and be sure to stay engaged with us. Your support goes a long way.
Yes. We really, really appreciate. Can I say one more thing? Shout out to one more plug for Afro Charities is that we do have Upton Mansion, like we were talking about. That's we're hoping be ready in 2024. We're just recently awarded some more money for the redevelopment of the mansion, which is going to be in the historic Upton neighborhood, very historic Black neighborhood. A lot of Black civil rights leaders live there. And so we're really excited for that. And we're hoping that it'll be a community center. It'll house the Afro Archives, the Afro News staff, And also we running community programs and things out there as well. And hopefully, we can start, also maybe taking in acquisitions from the community. So like I said, you have archives. Think about what you want to do with them, and Mary, you might also want to have them housed, and keeping them within your community, or sending them where you think they might be best accessed and accessible and used the most. So yeah, thank you for having us, Courtney. Sharina?
I just wanted to also just share that we're only accepting a few applications for New Generation Scholars. For the youth leadership program, you have to be between the ages of 13 to 21. So please visit our website or check us out on social media at New Generation Scholars. And then also, one of the greatest things that we have been able to do from that work is we have a free online educational platform for all ages, adults and youth, New Generation Scholars Intergenerational Institute. And that is launching on January 17th. I put the website, I gave you guys the website, it's right there, but we have 7 free courses for Black people of all ages. I'll be teaching African Diaspora 101, and we'll be looking at how Pan-Africanism can bring us together and how we can find some solutions. But we also have across the Atlantic, with Liberia and Baltimore being sister cities. I'm teaching Black dance. We have abolitionist theory. We have Black superheroes and revolutions in the diaspora. So please check in with us. We're right in Baltimore. The youth need us.
Yes.
That's something that I want to really make sure that we drive home to the audience, is please spread the word about our work, because the next generation really needs us to do so.
Yes.
And thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining us.
And Sharina and Deyane, you briefly touched on this, but what are some ways that people can support Afro Charities and Muse 360 in the new year?
I'll go first. Log on to afrocharities.org/donate, and you can donate right there.
And for us, besides following us on social, our social media is at muse.360 on Instagram. And then New Generation Scholars on Instagram. But also we have our links to take action, muse360.org/take action. And you can donate a myriad of ways. We are getting ready to do a book fund. We provide young people with free books from Everyone's Place, which is a wonderful, wonderful cultural institution on North Avenue. It's really important young people have access to physical books. So we will be raising money for that. And yeah, just continue to tap in, continue to support us. Follow us, follow our work, get involved. All of the ways we welcome.
I forgot one more thing, one more alibi. Sorry. My church finger. We are also keep your eyes and ears open. Also follow us on social media. I gave it earlier, Afro Charities. But we will be having more programming in the future, but also different needing support for staff and soliciting the community to assist with archives, and also naming people that they might find in the archives. So keep your ears and eyes open, because we'll be reaching out to the community for your support and assisting with the archives and development of it.
Most definitely. And as we're winding down, I wanted to highlight that this month's special edition topic is We're Still Here, and it's honoring Dr. King. And this edition will also honor community servants who, like Dr. King, work tirelessly to make the world a better and safer place. And this is the part where we start to get on the box and just speak what's on our mind, or speak your truth. I can go first. I want to thank you both for joining us today and for speaking on the significance of archiving and preserving history. It was a pleasure having you, so thank you again. And I hope that everyone in general have a blessed and safe and prosperous year. New year, new beginnings, so don't be afraid to start something new. And yeah, I do have a good feeling about 2023, so let's make this year count. And if anyone is thinking about starting their journey with preserving their history for future generations, you can start today and use some of the tips that Deyane gave you.
Oh, my turn. Okay. There's so much stuff that's on my heart. I don't even know where to start. I gotta say, I love Baltimore. I love the Afro. I want to thank the Baltimore and the Afro so much for everything that they have done and given to me over the past 5 years. They have done for me and assisted me in the past 5 years. I've become such a better person just being here. I'm being a part of this organization. People that I have met throughout the years, people that I've worked with throughout the years. So that's just first and foremost. I want to encourage everybody to please, please, please reach out to me at archives@afro.org. If you have any questions about the archives, I'm very happy to assist you. We have all these different resources for you to use. The archives are very important. Your history is important. The items that you have are important. Don't let anybody tell you differently. Think once or twice before throwing those items out, giving them away. Even your grandma, grandfather, and people pass away. Don't just throw those items out. Think about storing them, maybe even just asking around, maybe asking local archives if they might want the items, if they find these are important. But please, please, please don't just throw these items out. Years and years and years of history, important documents are being thrown out, and our history needs to be preserved. And we are counting on you to assist and do that with us. And last but not least, 2023 is going to be lit. I'm really excited for the future, for myself, for Afro Charities, but also for all of you. Don't let anything hold you back this year. Believe in yourself and, stay focused. You can do it. Sharena?
Okay, you guys said a lot of things I already agree with, but I would just hone in on just thanking my ancestors. I would like to thank those that have paved the way. Also acknowledging, like I said, some of the leaders specifically in Baltimore, some of the cultural workers in Baltimore that I follow in their footsteps, as well as in New York, which is where I'm from. I think it's really important, as I mentioned earlier, to think about the next generation. I always say to people, if I'm speaking to a group, you can't really be serious about the future if you're not thinking about the next generation. I don't care how difficult, I don't care how challenging. We as a people have come through more challenging times. And this is no different. So we really need to, like, as Deyane said, look back to where we've come from so we know where we're going. So I really would encourage us as we look to the future to really use those tools and to really listen in and be as present as you can. I think thinking about, for myself for 2023, I'm just remaining hopeful. I'm choosing joy. I am a mother of a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, bright child who is actually autistic. He has ASD. And I think that I wanted to uplift, like I said, just a lot of young Black young people that have those challenges, because I think also as we think about the future and as we think about 2023 and some of the challenges that we've gone through, it's really important to make sure that we're having those conversations as well. So thank you guys so much for having me. I have so much more to connect with you all about, but I would definitely say for everyone, please uplift those that sometimes that are not always remembered. And that's it.
Absolutely. Oh, that was good, Sharena.
Thank you. Yeah, that was great.
No, I mean, I got you. When you said uplift those who usually aren't seen, absolutely.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Also,
we need to.
Yes, definitely.
And thank you again, everyone. And don't forget to go to afro.com to get your subscriptions, because subscribing and supporting us does go a long way. You can also follow us on social media at Afro News. So please do continue to engage with us by liking, commenting, sharing, and don't forget to follow us. And also, don't forget to follow Afro Charities as well. Support them, engage with them. Like I just said, like, comment, share, just engage.
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, Sharena. Thank you so much, Courtney. Thank you, Afro News. Thank you, Afro Charities. Thank you, everybody out there, for coming. We appreciate it. And we'll look forward to talking to you soon.
Bye.
Thank you.